Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nurse D Porche. If you are new here on this channel, we talk about all things nursing, health, and finances. I have a very inspirational guest with me today. I have worked with this particular guest. I have been a student of hers, and it's been such a pleasure. And so I'm super excited to have her here with me today. And so, without further ado, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself and tell us something you are passionate about right now.
Love that. Well, first of all, Portia, thank you so much for having me here. I mean, this is so exciting to be here. I've watched your career as it's bloomed and grown, and I just think, right back at you with the inspiration. So thank you for having me. I'm Teresa Sanderson, and I am a nursing CE consultant. I'm a business and marketing mentor to nurse entrepreneurs. And really, what I do is I help nurses turn what they already know into income so they can live, lives of balance and freedom and flexibility that they're so looking for. Yeah, that's a little bit of what I'm all about. My passion right now, in addition to what I just mentioned, is I'm the founder of the Nurses Feed Their Young movement, and that's all about transforming nursing culture from one where nurses eat their young to one where nurses feed their young. So that's my big passion project. It's been on my heart for more than a
Absolutely.
decade, and yeah,
Yeah.
glad to have it alive now.
That's awesome because there's a few nurses that I've interviewed with and talked with, and they mention feed your young all the time. They mention like being opposed to how they say nurses eat their young, right? And so I think that that's really awesome, and we're going to get more into that because I'm curious to know how that's going and how we could support you with that. But let's talk about your nursing journey. So how did you start out as a nurse? What made you want to become a nurse? All of those good things.
Oh man. Well, I have one of those funny stories of going into nursing that, you hear from so many nurses who say, I knew from the time I was a little girl that that I wanted to be a nurse. That wasn't it for me. I was originally a music major, vocal major. I love singing, singing on stage
Oh.
even better. But so that's really what, I envisioned for myself. But you know how life goes. I met a
Mhm.
man, we fell in love, I had a child, and so all of a sudden, when life happened, and trust me, I wouldn't trade that for the world, you know. Um, but all of a sudden, practicality dictated that what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do with yourself? And I lived in a small community in Texas that was half an hour from one of the top four nursing schools. And it
Wow.
was a local community college. So it was just kind of serendipitous. And I thought, well, I know that if I become a nurse, I can work anywhere. I'll always have a job. I'll have, all those kind of things. And so I went into nursing school really just for the practical reasons. But something beautiful happened along the way, and I fell in love with the profession. So it was just very serendipitous for me that I really landed in a space that I've continued in for more than 30 years. So that's how
Wow.
I got started.
What level of nursing did you start out in the ADN, ASN program? How did that?
Yep, I actually started out as an ADN, and
Okay.
I am still an ADN. And that's something that I really try to make sure that nurses of all levels understand is
Yes.
that you can go as far in your career as you ever want to go, no matter what your credential. I truly believe that. And I think I'm living proof, right? Because I've spent the bulk of my career in nursing leadership. I've owned my own hospice nursing agency, things I never dreamed I'd be able to do. I've spoken at national nursing conferences. And so I think the journey of being a nurse is more about developing yourself, right? In so many ways.
Yes,
And
it is.
so that's yeah, I think had I not developed myself, those things would not have been able to happen for me. But
Yeah.
I just it's been a fantastic career for me. And every once in a while I think about going back to school and then I go, nah, especially not at this point, not at this
Yes,
point in my life, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. You're like, here, I don't see a reason why you would want to go back and pursue more. I think that you've accomplished so much with that nursing license and degree that you already have. So that's awesome. because it just
Yeah.
proves that you don't really have to go back. It just depends on your journey, right? And where you're trying to go
Mhm.
and get to and all of
Yep.
those things. So I love that. So where have you worked as a nurse? I know you said we're gonna get into the hospice business, but
Sure. Mhm.
what like did you work in med surg? Did you work as a hospice nurse? Like what kind of areas did you work in as a nurse?
Yeah. Love that. So my early career, when I first got started, I started in postpartum labor and delivery. I never did the L&D side, so I was more on the postpartum OB-GYN side of things. And
Okay.
but that was a wonderful start for me, working with those moms and babies and things like that. That was just wonderful. So totally enjoyed it. Um, I did some work in the neonatal nursery for newborn babies. The bulk of
Oh,
my career, though, has been, yeah, the bulk of my career has been medical surgical nursing in the hospital
okay.
setting.
Okay.
Um, and also supervisory roles, a lot of supervisory roles in home care, hospice. And truly, when it comes down to nursing, the bulk of my career, other than med surg, has been spent in home care and hospice. And that's my first love in nursing. It's really just helping those patients and families navigate healthcare from point A to point B in the
Yeah.
home setting, where they really people tend to do best, right? If we can put
Yeah.
things together correctly, they tend to
At
do well
home.
there.
I
So
agree.
I just have fallen in love with that area, and that's my first love. For a long time in my nursing career, I felt less than as a nurse
Mhm.
because I was not comfortable working in ER, comfortable working in ICU, right? And I think we
Oh,
put a lot of burdens on ourselves as nursing professionals. But as I grew
yeah.
into my nursing career, I realized that we are all necessary pieces of the puzzle. It's kind of like the body can't really exist without hands and fingers and toes and belly buttons
Yes.
and all the little parts.
Yes.
So so I really came to terms with that. But for a long time, I feel like I struggled in that space of why am I not comfortable with that? Why do I not like that? And the truth be told, that's my love of the care plan. I really like to know who's my patient coming in and where are we going. That's
Right.
I can do that any time of day. But
Okay.
what I don't want is a fresh gunshot rolling in off the street. I mean,
Yes. It's
that's
traumatic,
not
right?
yeah,
Yeah. It's not for
yeah, that's
everybody.
just not that's not for
Yeah.
me. And that's just got to be okay. So I guess I want
Yeah.
other nurses to know that same kind of thing too. No matter what your thing is, there's space for you.
I appreciate you saying that because honestly, I've struggled with that as well. And just kind of feeling like, why don't I
Mhm.
want to go to these areas? And, you know, just being comfortable. Like I say a lot is that I think that my passion is hospice. I really have a heart for hospice. And I'm just like, why don't I want to be like in the acute setting more? Love that you said that it's just a collective body. We all have a part in the whole, you know,
Mhm.
puzzle. Like it's from birth to end. We all have our part, and I think that that is
Yeah.
super important for every nurse to understand.
Mhm.
And really just kind of move around and find your place in nursing because I truly believe there's a place for everyone. There's so many different things that you can do
Mhm.
in nursing. Like everybody has a place. So thank you for sharing that.
Agree. Oh, you're
Yes.
welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so let's get into the journey of entrepreneurship because this is such an exciting part of this interview for me is that you were able to turn a $6,000 investment into $3 million business. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that. Like, how did that come about? How did you plan for that? Let's get into the details.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And thank you for asking. And, it's funny. And I shared a little bit about this earlier this week, that it was never really, well, the story, when you say, wow, she went from 6,000 to 3 million, right? That
Yeah.
sounds amazing. It's a great hook, right? For marketing. It's a great way for people to receive my message because it kind of
Yeah.
grabs you. But it was never about the money. It was about increasing access to hospice care and serving patients and families better, right? So that was ultimately the goal, and the money just follows whenever you're
Okay.
providing a high level of care and service. But
Mhm.
how it all got started was I was working for a hospice agency that was run by a county organization. Okay. And they were kind of not kind of, they were very lukewarm about the services we provided with hospice. Well, I'm a very good rule follower. That's part of my personality. And so I knew the hospice regulations because I was managing the program. And but we were doing things like we had a PRN social worker, we had a PRN chaplain, and I just
Hmm.
thought, gosh, we can do so much more for these
Yeah.
patients and families. There's so much more that they need. And then the social worker that we had would literally go to the bedside of the patient and say, so are you feeling okay? Like,
Wow.
where is the therapeutic communication here, guys?
Yes.
We
Just
had a
thinking, yeah, because I worked as a
yeah.
hospice nurse and just seeing how a social worker actually function in that's
Oh
crazy.
yeah. Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
I was seeing all these things and I was going, huh, I don't really like this. And so I would come home and I would
Yeah.
lament to my husband, right? And I would say,
Hmm.
and he was an independent businessman. So I would come home and say to Greg, man, I'm just so frustrated. They're doing this like this, and it's really not work. I can't stand it. These families need so much more. The patients need so much more. And he'd say,
Yeah.
you just need to open your own. And I'd
Just like
say,
that. Like,
yeah. And I'd say, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what that would look like. But we had this same conversation several times, and his answer was always the same. You just need to open your own. So
wow.
finally, I decided I would kick the tires. And I mean, it was as simple as going to the CMS website and finding out how do you apply to establish yourself as a hospice provider. And there's a lot of hoops to jump through. But
Yeah.
I think my story is significant because it happened at a time in the early 2000s that things were a lot different than they are now. Okay, so a lot of
Okay.
expenses that hospice providers have now to establish themselves as providers were not a thing back in the day.
Okay.
But anyway, as we got started, one of the first questions on the application was to apply as a new home care or hospice agency under CMS, you needed to have a statement from your bank saying that you had at least $250,000 readily available as cash reserves in your account. And so I immediately thought, well, if that's the case, I'm out. That's, that's
Right. That's
you
a lot.
know, but I was kicking the tires and I was
Mhm.
dedicated to the mission. And back at that time, if you can even imagine, there was a phone number I could call and somebody picked up because I thought I'm at least going to ask the question and find out. Now, I was also deeply in prayer at this time and just saying, Heavenly Father, if it's your thing, if this is what I need to be doing, make it
Yes.
happen. It's truly not up to me. If it's to happen, it's up to you. And uh, so
Right.
anyway,
I love
so
that.
anyway, yeah. But I called this gal, and she said, I said, I saw this requirement, and she said, I'm so glad you called because last week that was lifted for hospices. It no longer applies to hospices. It still applies to home care agencies. So
Wow.
it was gone. And that's how the entire application process went. When I would find a barrier,
That's a
it
God
would
thing.
just, it, it was. And I get goosebumps still today just thinking about
Yes.
it, because that's truly, when we established ourselves, we said we are Christ-centered, faith-based, and family-friendly. And
Oh,
but I think the most beautiful things about what we did were that the agnostic community was comfortable with us. People who were
okay.
atheists were comfortable with us
Yes.
because, love is action. It's not about preaching. It's not about
That's
anything
right.
else. And
I
so
agree.
those were, I think, the biggest compliments we had. But when we started and why we started, let me go there. The median length of stay, what most people got in rural Northeast Kansas, where we were, okay, population is 20 people per square mile, very
Mm.
small. So when you
Yes.
think of a Starbucks line, scatter those people, scatter those people over a mile, okay? but but that's who we were. So median length of stay was terrible. It was absolutely
Mhm.
terrible. So the community was saying, as soon as you get on hospice, you die, because that's all they saw. As soon as
Yeah.
you get started, you die.
Hmm.
So I knew that if we were
That's
going to make a
education.
difference,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew if we were going to make a difference, it was going to require educating the entire medical community. And
Yeah.
a lot of people ask me, Teresa, why didn't you go, after the physicians? Well, physicians don't make the call. It's the
Right.
nurses who pick up the phone and make the referral. So
That's right.
they need to know. They need to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it,
Mhm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so we saturated our local area, the 5 counties that we served, with complimentary nursing continuing education. We gave it away, and it was worth at least 3 qualified hospice referrals every single week. We grew like gangbusters. By the time we sold 10 years later, we had increased median length of stay from 3 days to 21 days. So
Wow.
it's, yeah, that was the
Yeah.
impact we wanted to have.
Yes, that's a huge
Yeah,
impact. So would you
yeah,
say that the
yeah.
driving factor was the CE courses that you offered for free? That was the driving
Hands,
factor.
hands down. Yes, because
Wow.
a couple things happen, and I know you're in the
Patient.
CE space, but
Yeah.
there's something about being able to say, I'm not only going to teach you this
Yeah.
content, but I'm going to give you valuable continuing education credit, right? And so I
Yeah.
didn't ever go in selling and saying, at the end of my presentations, Abundant Life Hospice, now you're going to refer to us because we gave you this. No, we can't do
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
What I would say instead was, I don't care which hospice you choose, but when the time is right for your patient, make a referral to hospice.
Yes.
Invariably, what happened though was because we were the only ones providing education, we were elevated to expert and authority in our field in the minds of the medical community. So why would
Yeah.
you choose anybody else? Show up as a
Yeah.
value added provider. That's such a great space to be in.
Yeah.
You're the good guy. You're the good guy all the time. And that's how this is the key to getting beyond the gatekeeper in any
Yeah.
physician's office. I mean, because the gatekeeper will always tell you, nope, you can't meet with anybody, you can't see anybody, not letting you back there, right? They're too
Right.
busy.
Yeah.
Instead, I would tell the gatekeeper, hey, I'm Teresa. I'm with Abundant Life Hospice. This month we have a complimentary CE program on how hospice supports patients and families with Alzheimer's disease. Is there a good day and time for us to bring that in?
Mhm.
We'd get the appointment. Instead of saying, here's some cookies or I need your referrals,
Right. Actually doing something valuable.
something valuable. And they would find
Yeah.
a time on the calendar. And if they couldn't find it right then, they
Mhm.
would call me back with one. And that's how we grew our network. And ultimately, we ended up being called, even when patients were in the hospital, we would do pain management consultations if they were struggling getting hospitalized patients' pain under control. They would call us in for just a
Mm.
consultation, and
Okay.
so we supported the community that way as well. But it just grew, and I think
Truly.
truly entrepreneurship, the gift is in the giving. The more you give, you're rewarded 1,000-fold when you give.
Mm. I love that. I love that. The more
Amen.
you give, that's a principle that I'm hearing over and over and over again from wealthy people. The more you give, the more you
Hmm.
receive. And it's actually a biblical principle,
Amen to
right?
that. Yep.
And it's
Yep.
just, it's amazing that, I mean, because naturally you'll think, no, if I give away everything, I won't have anything. So I love that you said,
Hmm.
no, it's actually like it's beyond the human brain comprehension because
Yes.
yeah, it's actually the more you give, the more you receive. And I'm learning that, and it
Hmm.
actually feels good to give. It's a great
Oh my
feeling.
gosh.
It
Yeah,
is a great feeling to give. And so I love that you
indeed.
said that. Yes. But you
Yeah.
also offer CE consultant programs where you help nurses to become CE providers because you helped me. I took
Yeah.
your course, and when I say amazing, straightforward, and easy, like I got it in 10 days. So I
Woo.
was able to get provider status in 10 days. Like I made a YouTube video about it. I'll put it
I
here in this
love
video
it.
where you guys can check that out. But this is the course that I took to do that. And I think that that is amazing that you're doing that. And not only do you offer those courses, you also educate nurses into, okay, this is how you can use this course to, grow your business. So that is amazing. So
Exactly.
what made you want to get into that and start that?
Oh man, great question. I'll do my best to make that story short.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, when we sold our hospice in 2011, it was because I had developed major depression, true clinical depression, and couldn't work for 3 years. Okay. So all I could see was this beautiful thing that we built. I can no longer run it. It was a huge sense of failure, a huge sense of failure that we had to sell because I just couldn't function, right? I
Hmm.
wasn't well. And so it took it took me truly several years to let go of the baggage. First of all, to claw my way to recovery from depression, because I had literally started a Social Security disability application at one point during that journey because I couldn't see myself coming back to work as a nurse of any kind back in the day.
Mhm.
And so, anyway, along with that recovery, though, I realized probably about 7 years later, 7 or 8 years later, I realized, that marketing method was unique to me. It was
Yeah.
something that I kind of intuitively did. And again, this was just another divine download, right? That one day I realized, holy smokes, that is the gold from that entire journey of launching and managing the hospice and probably, sacrificing a lot of my own well being over the time, although I didn't realize it, right? And would I have done it the same way? I think I would have because I just love those patients and families. Um,
Mhm.
but through that entire experience, this was the gold that was left behind for me was that Teresa, you grew a hospice to 3 million using only a nursing CE provider program as a vehicle for marketing. That
It's
is
huge.
massive. That is
Yeah,
massive.
it
And so
is.
that's why I decided, who else needs this? And
Right.
surely there's other nurse entrepreneurs like me. Surely there are other hospices who want to do the same thing because hospice is still a great passion of mine. Sounds like it is for you too. And
Mhm.
so yeah, that's really what led me into this business was just realizing finally, oh my goodness, this could be useful to a lot of people. And then
Yes.
as I started learning about it, I started understanding that millions of people are searching, how do I add nursing continuing education credit to my courses?
Yeah.
And once I figured out some SEO optimization and got myself on the web, the rest is kind of history. It took a little
Wow.
while to get started, but after 2 solid years, we've definitely hit the sweet spot, and I'm just forever grateful, forever grateful. Again,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was a very helpful course for me. So thank you for that. You made it simple. Like when I go to the website and try to figure everything out, it's like, oh my gosh, where do I start? What do
I'm
I do
with
with the
you.
guidelines? All the things, but you have it like I want to say CE course provider for dummies because it's like it's so easy to get through
I
the
love
whole
it.
process. You made it super easy. And so I guess now I'm at the place where I'm trying to put it all together, my contribution and using this and everything. I want to put it all together. But I think
Love
that
it.
that process you made a breeze. And so thank you for that.
Thank you. Oh
Thank you
my
for offering
gosh.
that.
Thank you. And I think it's, one of the things that I've been blessed with is what I call this knack for kitchen table science. If you think about doing science experiments and math problems with your kids at the kitchen table, I I seem to have a knack for taking complex information and really simplifying it down to where it's simple step-by-step processes. That's why a lot of my courses are called Made Easy because
Yes.
yeah, I've been
You
through the
have a
struggle. I've
gift.
I've been on the struggle bus.
Yes.
So once I figure something out, I love
Hmm.
to turn it into a Made Easy so that other people can do the same
Yes.
thing. So it's all
We
about
appreciate
service,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I for
I
one
love that.
appreciate it. Because I wouldn't have been
Awesome.
able, like, I really wouldn't have been able to, like, I'm like, you kind of get frustrated when it's too much information and you're having to kind of figure it all out. So that was super
Hmm.
helpful that you were able to offer that. I think that if more people
Yeah.
knew that you had this available, they would be on it because it works. Number one, it works because
Yeah.
I have reached out to a few companies and asked to come and teach. And they're like, yes, of course. And so it's just a matter of
Love
me making
that.
time
Hmm.
to get out there and do everything, but it definitely works.
I'm
um
so excited.
it's
So
definitely
excited
something
for
that
you.
thank you, thank you. It's just it's all happening so fast, and then I'm trying to balance work and everything, but I'll get there definitely. But thank you for offering that to nurses who are interested. I also sat through one of your classes where you were teaching just how to use the CE provider status, and I think that that was very helpful. I mean, you can tell that you have a heart truly for what you do. You really pour into
Mhm.
nurses every
Mhm.
level. You help us to reach within ourselves to find where our passions
Mm,
are and where we should spend our time. So it kind of even helped me to kind of move into a different space and a different route that I was going, because I was thinking, okay, I have to make money from this and all of these things, but that's really
mhm.
not my passion. Right. So
Yeah,
I'm passionate
yeah.
about helping people, get through school for, free like I did, or cheap,
I
and to choose a
love that.
community college rather than this super expensive university. Like, that is what I'm super passionate about, because I've heard the struggles, I've seen the issues that it causes after that. And so
Yep.
that's something that I'm trying to figure out how to put it all together. So I will be joining more of your courses.
Ooh.
Vlog.
No, I love that though. I took a look earlier today at some of your videos and I just think, you know, nursing schools need to be connecting, with you. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many opportunities for you to connect with community colleges, perhaps, and talk with, I mean, there's some marketing on the
Yeah.
fly here, but yeah, I mean, there's so
Hint,
many,
hint.
so many
Yeah.
opportunities, yeah,
Yeah.
that you could step into because if they can increase their enrollments, that helps them, and the funding is obviously there
Mhm.
from another source. So it's
Yeah.
to be a win,
And
win,
I'm
win.
so passionate. I would love to just talk to and reach the younger generations and give them
Hmm.
hope. You know what I mean? With so many things
Yeah.
happening in the world, I feel like they're hopeless, but they have the passion. They want to care for
Hmm.
people. They want to do these things, but it's just like, I don't have the money. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I just want them to see that the opportunity is there and it's available.
Hmm.
We're in the United States of America where there's so many opportunities, and I
Yep.
want them to take advantage of it. Like, I want them to reach the level that I have, and that you have reached, and just know that it's
Hmm.
possible for them. So I'm going to
Hmm.
continue with that. Thank you so much. Let's get
Love
back
that.
into the nurses feeding their young. Oh my
Love it.
gosh. I love it. Love it. So I think that this is more geared towards the nursing leaders, right? Is that where you're, because I think that impact happens at the top, right? So is that what this movement is towards, or
I love that question. And actually, no, this is a movement for all nurses,
all
led
nurses? Okay.
by nurses. And
Okay.
we embrace at the Nifty movement, we embrace the entire continuum of nursing from CNA to nursing student to all levels of licensure, nursing leadership, and even nurse entrepreneurs. Because
Okay.
nurses need a collective space to gather where we're not competitive. It's not, you're this, you're that. I'm the leader in every nurse to step up, show up as the best version of yourself when you're working, especially if you're working in a traditional nursing unit. I mean, I experienced the phenomenon of nurses eating their young for the first time as a
Absolutely.
nursing student. I didn't even get through
Yeah.
school. And I've heard my story from so many other people that, yeah, they chewed me up, spit me out.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. And so when we
It
look at
is.
turnover and retention, that's
Mm-hmm.
really one of the big focus areas is nursing retention because when I did a quick poll on LinkedIn last year, I just asked the question, have you ever left a position because of toxic nursing culture? Almost immediately, 650 people, 650 nurses responded, right? That's
600.
huge for a LinkedIn poll,
That is huge.
but it was
Yeah.
just spontaneous, no ad, no nothing. And 86% said yes, they had. And another
Mm-hmm.
7% said, I
That too.
haven't yet, but I would if I could.
Mm.
So that's 93%
That is
of
sad.
nurses
Yes.
saying this has impacted me. And that was just a
Yes.
simple LinkedIn poll. So, I think we've all seen it. I think we all know it. Recruitment bonuses, that nurses get offered, it's not working. You can't
Yeah.
pay me double time and expect me to stay in a lousy work environment. And so much of what we're doing is about improving nursing culture, but from the inside out. And the movement is nurse driven. So we're not waiting for administration to say, yes, we agree. It's okay. You can do this now. This is nurse led. We are going to do this within ourselves. We're going to improve how we show up so that we
Yes.
can nurture each other and support each other in
Okay.
the workspace. Yeah.
So how
So
can
that's what we're
we
about.
support this movement? Every nurse from every single line, from CNA to doctorate of nursing. How can we support this
Oh my
and bring
gosh.
about change? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, first of all, follow us on social media.
Okay.
And I would encourage, especially on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is where professional decision makers hang out, and they need to know nurses feed their young is a thing. So follow us there. And when you see our posts, feel free to share them, comment
Okay.
on them and share them because that helps. The other
Okay.
thing is, we have a brand new NIFTY. Our acronym is NIFTY. And so our NIFTY member community, again, embraces all levels of nurses. Everybody gets 30 days complimentary. After
Oh,
that,
nice.
after that, it's just 27 bucks a month, but I can share a link. And,
Yes.
you know,
I'll put it in the
we,
description of this video.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. And so there's nursing continuing education in there that's not offered anywhere else. Plus, you have access to nursing leaders and experts in a variety of specialties,
Nice.
all for free that first 30 days. And after that, it's just 27 bucks a month. So
Okay.
it's super inexpensive and just a
Yeah.
great place for nurses to connect. So the more people know
Okay.
about that, the better.
Nice, nice. All right, so share with us anywhere we can follow you on social media, any new courses that you have coming up here. Where can we support you?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you. So you can find me on Facebook just under Teresa Sanderson. That's my personal page. Business page is Nurses Feed Their Young. LinkedIn, Nurses Feed Their Young. On YouTube, I am Teresa Sanderson TV, and on Instagram, Nurses Feed Their Young Movement. So feel free to follow us on any of those pages.
All right. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for doing this interview. It was a pleasure.
Same here. Thank you.
Thanks. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Bye.
Bye.